What's up guys? Today I'm going to be testing out a full face or an almost full face of Rare Beauty makeup, and I'm also going to be trying the new Colourpop C3PO palette. Believe it or not, this is my very first time trying Rare Beauty. I did try one of the blushes way back when the brand first launched, but beyond that, I haven't tried anything from this brand, and that might be kind of hard to believe, me being on YouTube and everything, but I feel like I normally gravitate toward drugstore products for the most part. That's the main focus of my channel, but I recently polled all of you guys and asked what your favorite makeup brands were, and Rare Beauty was in the top 5. And the reasons that you said you really love it is because it's more affordable, you feel like you get a lot for your money, and just that the formulas are really good. And hearing all of your responses just made me want to try it. So I headed out to Sephora and picked up a couple of things. There were a few things that were out of stock that I wasn't able to get, and I didn't choose an eyeshadow palette because those had kind of terrible reviews on the Sephora website. I feel like that's the one thing in this line that people are not raving about. And they also had liquid eyeshadows, but they all came in various shades of pink. They almost looked like liquid blushes when I was looking at them. So they weren't really appealing to me as much, but then I got this new Colourpop palette in the mail and I thought it's perfect. I'll just try this out at the same time. So let's go ahead and jump in. We'll start with the first product, which is their Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer. This has broad spectrum SPF 20 sunscreen and it retails for $29, which I think is a pretty fair price for a tinted moisturizer at Sephora when you consider most go for between $35 and $45. And I got the shade 20W, which is supposed to be a warm undertone. I actually have cool undertone skin, but they were out of all of the cool shades, so this was the only one I had to pick from. Hopefully it works out okay. And the thing that sounded really great about this is that it claims to blur your skin and also give light to medium coverage. Most tinted moisturizers I feel like have a very light sheer coverage, so I like the idea of maybe having a little bit more coverage in the one product. So I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in, that way you can see my skin a little bit closer. And I'm just gonna apply this with my fingers, which is what I normally do for tinted moisturizers. I was planning to get the Rare Beauty primer, but they were sold out of that too. They really were out of stock in a lot of different items, but that's actually fine because when I use tinted moisturizers, I almost never use a primer underneath anyway. I usually save primer for something if I'm gonna be wearing like a full coverage foundation that I'm afraid might show more texture or settle into pores a little more. That's when I normally want more of a flawless base. But for something like this, I just like to apply it right to my skin and I just blend it with my fingers. I feel like it's just quick and easy, and my fingers usually warm up the product and push it into the skin a little bit better than a brush or a sponge would. So far, I think the coverage on this is pretty decent. I would definitely call it like a light to medium. It's hiding my redness. I don't know that it's gonna hide the redness on my nose. Most things don't. I usually have to follow up with a concealer for that, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's doing a decent job toning it down at least, but I really like the feel of this. It feels moisturizing, but at the same time, it's not really leaving like a dewiness to my skin. It's actually sinking in pretty nicely, and I don't think that the color is a terrible match either, even though it's a little more warm and yellowy. So what do you guys think up close? I think this looks really natural on my skin. It doesn't look like I'm wearing foundation at all. So I'm actually pretty impressed so far because this has more coverage than a typical tinted moisturizer would. I will probably follow up with a little concealer after I do my eyes, but for the most part, this evened out my skin really well. It also does have a little bit of a blurring effect. I wouldn't say as much as like a blurring primer would, but my pores look a bit less noticeable on my cheek area, so it is definitely doing something. And the best part is it does not look like there's anything on my face. It doesn't look like I have foundation on, so I'm loving that. Next, I think I'm gonna do my eyes before I continue with the rest of my face, just in case there's any fallout, I can clean it up. So let's take a close look at the Colourpop C3PO palette. And as you might have guessed, the color story is very golden overall. I think this one has a nice mix of matte shades and shimmer shades, and they give you a crease color, some deeper mattes, and also some really beautiful shimmer shades for the lid. The lightest shimmer shade feels like it's a super shock shadow. And when I was looking at this, I kind of felt like, didn't they do something similar? I think it was reminding me of the Feeling Bubbly palette, but putting them next to each other, it makes Feeling Bubbly look almost cool toned. And I used to think that was more of a warm golden palette, but I think C3PO is just so warm that it's definitely a lot different than Feeling Bubbly. So I think I'm gonna start out with this shade right here down in the corner first. And that shade is called Companion. So I'm just gonna apply apply that to my crease. I always love Colourpop's formula. I think it just blends so easily. Some of you may disagree with me, but I feel like if you're not a professional makeup artist, these are just so beginner friendly and easy to use. Okay, so I'm just gonna blend this out a little bit more with this shade right here, Tatooine, and just kind of break up the edges a little. And this is the BK Beauty 201 brush. The crease brush I used was the Refer number 14. I've been using BK Beauty brushes so much lately. I feel like that's almost all I reach for these days. How do you guys feel about them? Have you tried them out yet? There's just something about these BK Beauty brushes that just blend eyeshadow so nicely, especially this one. Next, I'm going to deepen the outer corner with this shade called 6 Million. And I'm going to use the Angie Hot and Flashy A502 brush for this. This is another really nice small brush. It's great for your crease if you have hooded eyes. This shade's one of those matte shades that has the little micro glitters, but I find that those glitters just kind of brush away, so I treat them as matte shades. Next, I'm going to do like a half cut crease and use the BK Beauty 204 brush and a little bit of concealer, and I'm just going to put this on the inner half of my eye. I don't do this all the time, but I find that when I do, it helps my lid shade look a little bit neater and it kind of just stays where I put the concealer. For my lid, I think I'm going to use this shade Droid right here. I'm also going to use a little bit of this shade Etiquette, which is a little bit deeper. It's kind of like a coppery shade. The first shade that I used didn't look as gold in the pan as it did when I put it on my eye. It almost looks like it has some pink to it, but it's very, very gold overall. Next up, I want to try the Super Shock shadow. I think I'm going to put that like in the inner corner. This is a really pretty shade. That's beautiful. Okay, so that's how that eye turned out. I'm just going to do the same thing to the other eye and I will be right back. Moving on, I have the Perfect Strokes mascara from Rare Beauty. And I got this with an order a couple of months ago from Sephora and I haven't even tried it yet. I always get these little minis with an order and they just kind of sit in a drawer. And I remembered that I had this, so I didn't buy the full size. I really love my Thrive tubing mascara and that's the one that I use the most often. So all my other mascaras have just kind of been sitting around. But I have to admit the brush on this one looks really nice. It's the perfect shape that I like. And this one has like almost 1,300 reviews on the Sephora website and almost 5 stars, which is pretty good. So I'm anticipating that I'm gonna like this. I mean, so far it is a very wet formula, so I have to kind of comb out clumps a little bit, but I like wet formulas because you can build them up a lot and really get like a false lash look out of them. This also seems to be building a lot of volume and length and it's curling up my lashes really nicely too. So, all right, let's take a look. Here's the after, here's the before. I just wanted to show you guys the difference between the two. I mean, I think it did a really nice job. I just hope that it doesn't smudge under my eyes at the end of the day. That's a deal breaker for me. That's one reason I've been so into tubing mascaras lately because they're pretty much guaranteed not to smudge. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of concealer now. This is the Catrice True Skin concealer in the shade 5 Warm Macadamia. I was using the shade Cool Cashmere, but I completely finished that tube and Catrice had sent me a few different colors, so this was kind of the next closest one. I think I like the Cool Cashmere shade a little bit better because it's cooler, but as far as warm shades go, this one isn't too bad. Plus I am wearing a warmer toned foundation today, so it's fine either way. So I'm just putting a little concealer on the outer corner and the inner corner of my eye. I try not to put too much under here anymore like we used to do with the big triangle because at 45 years old, I just feel like I have to be a little bit more careful about putting too much of anything on my skin these days. It just because makeup tends to settle in places it didn't used to. I'm just gonna put a little on my nose too because while I feel like that tinted moisturizer did a great job, better than most tinted moisturizers at getting rid of the redness on my nose, there is still just like a tiny little bit. I do find it amazing though that I only have to spot conceal a few areas after using a tinted moisturizer. Like that's really good. All right, moving on, I have the Warm Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick. This retails for $23 and I got mine in the shade Power Boost. So this is the lightest shade option that they had. I did want the second lightest, which is called Happy Soul, because that says it's a light brown with cool undertones. And this one said that it was a little warmer, but they were sold out of Happy Soul on the website. And when I went to the store, they also were sold out of Happy Soul. But I was able to try the tester on my hand and I actually liked this lighter shade better for me. Happy Soul, even though it was cooler toned, it was very dark. And I just liked the actual color of this one a little bit better. And it's not overly warm. I didn't feel like like it was super orangey or anything like that. It's just a little bit warm. And I think bronzer really should be warm. I just don't want it to be orange. This claims to be like a seamless second skin finish that you just swipe and blend and you're done. And wow, yeah, that was like so easy. It blended beautifully. And you guys know I really have been enjoying the Makeup Revolution cream bronzer, but that just blended out even faster than that did, and it has a completely powdery dry down. I think this color looks so natural too. I'm so glad that I actually went to the store and that I got this shade instead of the other one. Yeah, that takes like 2 seconds to blend out and it's perfect. Just gonna put some on my forehead up here. And the stick format too is really simple to use. It's super creamy and it literally starts to blend as soon as you put your brush to it. I'm so impressed with the application of this right now, in case you guys couldn't tell. It's by far the easiest blend on a cream product I have ever tried. If they made a blush stick out of the same formula, that would be amazing. I know they already have really good blushes, but that would be really fun, like for next summer if they did that. All right, yeah, I think this wins the prize for the most natural bronzer I've ever tried. Like seriously, it warmed up my face. It doesn't look orange at all. It dried right to a powder finish. There's no stickiness, and I don't see it sitting on my skin. It looks very natural. So thumbs up for the bronzer so far. Let's go ahead and try the blush. I did get this holiday kit that they just released recently because it has 3 different shades to try. You get 1 full size and then 2 minis that basically equal the full size product, and it's $30 with a value of $40. So I'll show you quickly the colors that come in here. It has Encourage, which is the full size. And then you also get Truth and Happy. And these colors are all stunning. And from what I remember, you really only need the tiniest little drop of product on your cheeks. So they're going to last you a really long time. I think I'm gonna use the shade Encourage today, which looks like a beautiful dusty rose. I'm just gonna put that tiny little amount and we'll go from there. So this is the BK Beauty 107 blush brush. I think I could put a little bit more. Maybe if it was like real life, I would stop there, but because I'm on camera, I usually have to add a little more makeup than I normally would. This also blends effortlessly, especially if you only use a little bit and go in very light layers. But you can definitely go overboard with these really quickly, so you have to be careful, but that is such a gorgeous color. All right, let me just do this side. I think this color is one of the glowier ones. They do come in 2 finishes. There's one that's a little bit more glowy and then one that's more matte. Next up, I got the Kind Words lip liner in the shade Humble, which they describe as a rose mauve. This is $15, so it's a little more expensive than like a drugstore lip liner, but I also think it's, again, a very reasonable price for something that's at Sephora. It's a twist up liner that you don't have to sharpen. I think this color is beautiful. It seems like it's really creamy. And even though I have a ton of drugstore lip liners that I love, and I typically don't like to spend a lot of money on a lip liner because I feel like the drugstore ones are good, this has a solid 5 stars on the Sephora website. So I really just wanted to see what all the hype was about. It really is super creamy. That was pretty much effortless. I hardly had to press down at all. It also claims to be waterproof and long lasting. Plus I love this color. This is so pretty. I also wanted to try the Stay Vulnerable Glossy Lip Balm. This looked so good. This retails for $18. It also has 5 stars. And I got the shade Soft Mauve, which looks really pretty. It says it's a hydrating, non-sticky, long-lasting lip gloss that cushions lips all day with soft, nourishing color and shine. It sounded really good, so let's give it a try. Wow, that feels amazing. Oh my gosh. It has such a soft, cushiony feel. My lips feel like baby soft right now. It also is not sticky in the slightest bit. It doesn't seem to have a scent, maybe just like the slightest hint of something. It's just slightly sweet, but I can barely even smell it. My lips just feel amazing right now. I just want to wear this all day. Like when it wears off, I just want to put more on because of how good they feel. I think this lip balm is going to be so amazing in the wintertime when it's really, really dry. All right, so that's everything. And wow, I am just blown away by every single thing from Rare Beauty that I tried. You guys were not joking. The tinted moisturizer is so good. It looks really natural on my skin and has really good coverage for a tinted moisturizer. The bronzer stick, holy cow. It was so easy and effortless to use. I almost feel like I don't even want to use any other bronzer right now. The blushes are beautiful. I definitely do remember that from before. So far, I like the mascara, but I'll have to update you guys down in like the description box or the comments and let you know if it did end up smudging on me, but I love the way that my lashes look with it. Also, the lip liner and the liquid lip balm, amazing. Like even as I'm looking at my lips right now in the mirror, they just look smoother. This color is like the perfect Your Lips But Better shade. I love it. As far as the C3PO palette goes, I mean, it performed beautifully just like all of Colourpop's palettes do for me. I'm not always into gold eyeshadow, like I don't wear it that often, but I do think that for the fall, this bronzy gold kind of look is really pretty, especially because I wear like a lot of brown and fall colors. I just feel like it'll go really well with all of that. So let me know what you guys think of all these products down in the comments below. If you've tried any of the Rare Beauty stuff, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you planning on picking up the new Colourpop palette? I'd love to hear that as well. I really want to thank all of you for taking some time out of your day to spend it here with me. I really appreciate it so much. If you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.